I'm continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. In my last video, I started reading chapter 15 of 1 Samuel. Now we will finish it. We only read the first 17 verses, so we got about 2/3 of the book left, of this chapter left. So let us get through this. Here we go. Now, a real refresher. Nabal the Carmelite is shearing his sheep in the wilderness of Maon, where David is. David has been protecting his servants and their flocks, and so he asks Nabal if he will give him some of the food in exchange for that protection, and Nabal tells him to get lost. So now David is arming his men to go and take some food. And Abigail hears about it from one of the servants. So here we go. Verse 18. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, Go on before me, behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill. And behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, Surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed, and all that pertained unto him, of all that pertained unto him. And he hath requited me evil for good. So and more also do God unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass, and fell before David on her face, and bowed herself to the ground. And fell at his feet, and said, Upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thine handmaid. Okay, now I just gotta. This is David. She's bringing out enough food for the camp, at least enough to last for a day or two. I mean, there's 600 of them, so that. It's not a feast, but it's enough for them to survive on. And David, he's going out for blood. He's saying, no, this is ridiculous. I'm done helping this guy. We're going to go get our food. But I like that phrase there. Any who pisseth against the wall. Now, this phrase means men. But it's an insult. It's a derisive term, because to piss against the wall would have been an uncouth thing. And this is back then. You didn't really exactly have bathrooms, so I mean, some houses might have had some crude type of bathroom, but you would go outside the city or outside the house and dig a hole, do your business, cover it up, all that stuff. A man who just goes up to the side of a building and relieves himself, a man who pisseth against the wall, is an uncouth man. He is not a civilized man. But it was a very common practice for men to do this. And so the term became a general term for all men in a group. So when he says, I'm going to leave him no one that pisseth against the wall, he is kind of accusing his entire family of being uncivilized and that he will kill all the men. Anyways, here we go. Verse 25. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young man of my Lord, whom thou didst send. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thine own hand, Now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal. And now this blessing which thine handmaid had brought unto my Lord, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord, and evil hath not been found in thee all thy days. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee, and to seek thy soul. But the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy God, and the souls of thine enemies, them shall he sling out, as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord shall have done to my Lord according to all the good that he hath spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto thy Lord, either that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. But when the Lord shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thy handmaid. Okay, that was a bit of a long read there, but basically she's saying, God is blessing you, and you will be blessed. Your house is going to be built up. I know that Saul is chasing you, trying to kill you. As she says, a man has risen to pursue thee. She's talking about Saul. They knew that David was in danger from Saul. And she's saying, but God's going to raise you up. He is going to put down your enemies. And right now, Nabal is your enemy, but I'm not. So spare me now. Take the food. And when you are set up, remember me. Now, I do like his name is Nabal. For as his name is, so is he. So Nabal actually means fool or insensitive, churlish person. Such a name must have been given him by those who knew him. So that's what it says in the footnote. In other words, his given name, his parents didn't name him Nabal. That's a nickname that he was given because of his character, because he was a idiot and a fool, a hard, churlish person. People started calling him Nabal because he was well known to be of that disposition. I do want to say one other thing I'll save that for the end here. Let us continue the chapter here. Verse 32. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. And blessed be thy advice. And blessed be thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand. For in very deed, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, which hath kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hast hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. So David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, Go up in peace to thine house. See, I have hearkened to thy voice, and have accepted thy person. So he accepts her offering, and he says, You're right. I was acting. He admits that he probably shouldn't have been going out there to kill Nabal. Saying, I should let God deal with judgment and justice and avenging me. Let God avenge me. I know he will, so let him do that. You're right. It was a good thing you came out and stopped me, because I probably would have regretted it. You are right. And so I will accept of this, and then he lets her go, right? So verse 36. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that the Lord smote Nabal, that he died. So Nabal gets terrified. When he finds out what almost happened to him, Nabal gets terrified. His heart becomes like a stone. Basically, he probably had a heart attack and laid in his bed for 10 days until he finally died. So I think that's kind of a poetic justice there. Let us continue verse 39. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord, that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. For the Lord hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, David sent us unto thee to take thee to him to wife. And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my lord. And Abigail hasted, and arose, and rode upon an ass with 5 damsels of hers that went after her. And she went after the messengers of David, and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives. But Saul had given Michal his daughter, David's wife, to Phalti, and the son of Phalti the son of Laish, which was of Galim. So David now has 3 wives, although his first wife has been given to somebody else. So because of the separation, Saul has determined that they are divorced and she is married to somebody else. But I wanted to say this. This is just my opinion, but I don't think Abigail was very old. I think she was probably not a teenager, but probably in her early to mid-20s, no more than 25 years old. David was about, say, 16, 17 when he fought Goliath. It's been several years since then. He's probably also in his mid-20s. They're about the same age. On the other hand, Nabal was probably a very old man. Well, I'm not saying very. He probably wasn't like 90, but he was probably 50, maybe 60. He was around there, probably in his 50s, which is why the shock of knowing that he almost got killed by David sends him into a heart attack. But you also see that Abigail, she doesn't love Nabal. She's not. This was obviously an arranged marriage. Nabal went to her father and arranged the marriage, as is the custom under the law of Moses. And being a good daughter, a good woman, she accepted the arrangement and she went and married Nabal. I doubt she was happy in the marriage, but she was good. She fulfilled the duties of a wife, and she kept the household, and she saved Nabal's life. So she was a good woman, and she understood things. That's why David sought her out. When he finds out that Nabal's dead, he takes her, and she willingly becomes his wife. I also do not think that Abigail was madly in love with David. But being a good woman of good understanding, she knew that she was a widow now. And to be married to David would give her security in Israel. She would be taken care of. She knew this was a good match, and she willingly accepted it. Now, being a widow, she no longer needed her father's permission to remarry. And so she could simply accept David's offer of marriage. But we will leave that here for now, and we will see you in chapter 26.